Good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. I'm here almost every week, Wednesday morning, unless something really unexpected comes up or I'm going to be out of town, then I will record a little bit ahead of time, but usually here every Wednesday morning to record the show at 9 o'clock. So I join you every Wednesday morning at 8:45, including Cliff, who is almost always here and almost always the first guy to join us. One of the first guys to join us, my good friend Craig Plowman. Craig, it was wonderful to see you and Michelle and your entire table at our Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack Restaurant last night. It was a really, last Wednesday night, a week ago tonight. It was a really good time. I was so glad to see you. Thank you for being a part of things, Craig. I do appreciate it. Bruce, good morning. How are you? Robert, I got your pictures. Well, I couldn't download them for some weird reason. I think they're moose pictures, right? I think they're ones you sent me through a Facebook message, because I always encourage people, if you have something to send to me, please send it to me in an email, which is what Robert did. The email address is mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. I used to be able to easily share Facebook messages. Facebook changed something a couple of years ago. Now, unfortunately, the best way to get me messages is mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, which is what Robert did. Robert, I'm trying to download them. I apologize for that. Hey, Ricky, good morning, buddy. How are you? Gene, checking in from the Apex plant in St. Louis, Michigan. Apex, the parent company of Quest Pontoons, QWEST, Quest Pontoons. I think it's questpontoons.com. They used to make Angler Quest as well. Now Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest, had jumped out with his own company, Saginaw Bay Marine, and he's making Angler Quest QUEST pontoons. A little bit confusing, but I think it works out well for everybody. John, did I get my email about the shotgun? John, I think I did. If you were talking about my grandson's shotgun, I did. I apologize. We were turkey hunting over the weekend, and then I was kind of tied up earlier in the week. I thought I had cleared up and responded to all the emails I got over the weekend. I apologize if I did not respond to you. Thank you for reaching out. I will respond, John. Thank you. Tim Binns, it was wonderful to see you and Jen at the Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack. I said at the Lumberjack Wednesday Night Live, I said Tim Binns is like my go-to resource for my live streams, because Tim is a very, very smart guy, a very sharp guy, great researcher, and he's wonderful at picking up mistakes and correcting them and giving me information. Tim, I appreciate that so very much. Cliff, no luck yet turkey hunting. Trying to get my grandson Trent a bird. We will do that. Ross, it was wonderful to see you, Mr. Skinny Ross Elliott, at Wednesday Night Live. Always appreciate you joining us. Look forward to seeing you in the future. We're going to go fishing, right, Ross? You, me, Johnny, and Emil going to go fishing this summer. I look forward to it. Paul, wonderful to see you and your family. Tony went. He was there with Randy to Skinny Water Rats. Two of my fellow Skinny Water Rats were there to join us. Also, Tony, congrats once again. Tony is being inducted into the Northeast Michigan Baseball Hall of Fame. And he told me that his dad is also a member of the Northeast Michigan Baseball Hall of Fame. So, Tony, very, very cool. And I'm glad to see you got some fish opening weekend on the Tittabawassee. All right, John, thank you for your understanding. Kevin, how are you? Hey, Kevin, is there... and perhaps Tony or Justin or Tyler or Justin or somebody else is standing by too. I think Tyler said something about an MUCC meeting tomorrow. It seems too soon. Is that tomorrow or is it next week? Jerry checking in from Algonac. How are you, Jerry? Randy, always a pleasure to have you along with us on these Behind the Mic segments. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's show. Oh, here we go. Mike Smith. Offshore A-count fishing. Mike is a guy who I've known for a while, but the more I get to know him, the more respect I have. This guy is a fishing machine. He's also a skinny water rat, And he says, good morning, Mike. Found some fish in your beloved Skinny Water lately. That's what I hear, Mike. That's what I hear. My Skinny Water has been doing very well. Save some for me, will you, please? My Angler Quest, I talked to Mr. Angler Quest. I will not be getting my Angler Quest until just before Memorial Weekend. So getting a late start on the season this year. Mike, please save me some fish. Jeff, good morning. How are you? Cap, right back at you, Jim. Nice to have you along with Elliot. How have you been, buddy? Haven't heard from you for a while. It's May 8th. It's next week. Thank you, Paul. It's next week. I'll have to, I mentioned that this morning to Charlie that I thought it was tomorrow. It's actually next week. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Rocky, one of the coolest names. Rocky, I could not agree with you more. Rocky says the turkeys disappeared this past weekend. This is one of my topics of discussion this week. I know that turkey hunting, much like deer hunting, is a very personal thing, and there are pockets where there are good populations and pockets where there are poor populations. My grandson Trent and I hunted Saturday and Sunday. We didn't see a bird. We heard one gobble. Now, Saturday I was not too surprised because the weather was terrible. However, we did not see signs of birds. Now, this is on our lease property in southwest Midland County where last fall we were overrun with birds. I couldn't find a track. I couldn't find a feather. I found one turkey dropping. So then Sunday, we went to my buddy Scott's place, who is usually overrun with birds, and that's where we heard the gobble. It's interesting that the turkey, come on in, Art, that the turkey population in Michigan, in some parts of the state, seems to be down dramatically. Art Lewis, ladies and gentlemen, a member of the Michigan Broadcasting Hall of Fame, a good friend of mine. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I have lots of turkeys in my neighborhood. Always have.
Can I hunt off your patio? So you're still seeing lots of birds?
Well, I would say I'm seeing birds. I don't think the numbers are quite what they have been in the past, but part of that reason is somebody down the road was feeding them and had them congregate, and they'd all, But they used to come up on my driveway and peck the side of my car because they'd see their reflections.
They're stupid birds until you go to hunt them, and then they get really smart.
Yeah, funny thing about that.
Yeah.
But there are still some there.
Good.
So.
Art Lewis, you can hear him on WSTW AM and FM all the time. He is a broadcasting icon. Thanks, Art. All right, Art. Always nice to check in with Art Lewis. So, Rocky, he said the birds disappeared this past weekend. Steve... Grass Lake State Park and the Betsy, no fish in the water, sign in the fields to get sprayed with Roundup. Okay. No fish in the water, sign in the field, so they sprayed it with Roundup. Roundup. That's a very good question, Steve. I don't know how Roundup affects fish. Now, you're sure it was Roundup and not the lamprey, the lampricide? Because lampricide supposedly has no effect on fish. And isn't it nice that we actually are going to have a lamprey program again? We're going to talk about that next week. It had originally been cut. That program had been cut by the feds. It has been brought back. Okay, just to confirm, Steve, that was Roundup and not lampricide. And I don't know the answer on what effect Roundup has on fish. Bernie, good morning. How are you? George, nice to have you along with us. Robert says all the turkeys up there are henned up and have disappeared. And I get that, Robert. I think that's what happened to the bird we were talking with on Sunday, because he would not cross the property line. He was south of us on an adjacent property, and it was one of those mornings where he gobbled all morning long. We heard him several times, but I could not call him in. I have no doubt he was with hens. But the bigger question is, and this is not statewide, because I had a guy from Oakland County reach out to me, and he said they have I'll use the term buttload of birds, and we're welcome to come down and hunt there, and I appreciate that. But there is no doubt, in my opinion, that the number of turkeys in general across our state is down. I'm just not seeing them as I drive across the state. I'm not seeing the number of birds out in the fields that I did in the past. What's the reason? Is it avian flu? Is it bird flu? Is it predators? What is it? Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Need to get together with you and Aunt Debbie soon. Uncle Johnny and Aunt Debbie joined us for Wednesday Night Live last week, and it was wonderful, but we need to get together on a night that I'm not working. Dan, good morning. How are you? Paul, 34 new graduates of Hunter Safety Saturday. A lot of youngsters, some adults. That's wonderful. God bless you for that, Paul. David, good morning. How are you? Mad Jack, how have you been, buddy? Jim Price, how are you? Hunter Joe. Haven't bought a turkey license in years. If all of Zone 3 was included in ZZ, it would be more enticing. Yes, all of Zone 3 is not ZZ. I wonder why that is. Because ZZ goes right on through the month of May into early June. So that's why I'm not too worried about Trent and I, me and Trent. I'm not even remotely worried about getting me a bird this year. I do want to get Trent a bird this year. Trent's a very patient, hardcore hunter. We've got a lot of time. I'm not getting the angler quest till the end of the month, so I can concentrate on turkey hunting. No. Rick, good morning. No bird yet. No, not for us yet. We've only been able to hunt 2 days and haven't seen a bird yet, but we'll get one. Going up next week where the ice storm devastated his property, hoping to see a bird. Let us know what your property looks like, Rick, because it's just the amount of devastation across northern Michigan from that ice storm is what's the word I'm looking for? It's not impressive. It's not awesome. John, help me out. A very big word that is not impressive, not awesome. It's negative.
Terrible.
Terrible would be a word, not the one I'm looking for, but it'll work. Tim says a lot of successful trout fishermen posting. Excellent. Jim, my turkey hunt was nuts. We had 8 toms gobbling, shot one, called another just to play, jumped on top of the dead bird. I enjoyed your video. Robert, this is Rob. Yeah, Rob Miller found all of his birds in the oaks on state land. And believe me, the guy is waylaying our state land birds. Jim Hoppy, good morning, Jim. How are you? Thank you for those lures. Dixie Dave won some. He gave them to me. I haven't had a chance to use them yet. Brandon, how are you? The bottom bouncing on the Detroit River is heating up. Water temperatures there now close to the mid-50s. Brandon, didn't I see you? Didn't you do a story with Michigan Out of Doors, or am I thinking of somebody else? Because I have been following your posts, and I know you're killing them down there. And I also think, Brandon, you're one of those guys who likes to do things differently. Aren't you trolling at night? Which would get you away from the crowds, right? Dave, good morning. Good to see you, buddy. Jeff says there are tons of birds on the golf course in Midland. Maybe I should be hunting on the golf course. I want to get out and play golf. I haven't played golf yet. We've been working on a project at the house, which is wrapping up. I think there is a golf outing in my near future. Uncle Johnny, how you feeling? Should we go? David, I have property in St. Clair County. Not many people hunt them close by. Turkeys move in and out, but population is good. Glad to hear that. Dylan, good morning. How are you? Dylan, who is tied in with Sean Hodges of Lower Saginaw Bay Charters. Elliot, and with warm weather, the hens are close to nesting, already have nests with eggs in them. Best thing was switchgrass. Take a predator. Yes, Danny. Hey, Danny. Good morning. How are you? Danny, my grandson loved that knife set. Danny Johnson of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, rmef.org. Danny was at our Wednesday Night Live. He was very generous, brought a bunch of cool things up there, including those knives. Uncle Johnny won one of those knives. I had a chance to take a look at it. They were very, very nice. But he brought up a knife set, including a bone saw, in this very cool plastic case, folding plastic case to protect the knives. And he said, here, I hear you talking about your grandson Trent and your turkey hunt. Give him this for me, would you please? He really, really enjoyed it. I should have reached out and thanked you earlier, Johnny. I apologize. Devastating is the word. Devastating. Thank you, Bruce. That's a good word. That's the one I was looking for. Paul says devastating. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats, michiganbrand.net, who had an awesome hunt Saturday or Sunday morning. He shot his bird behind the house. Good morning, Mike. Getting a box ready this morning for Stephanie, the winner of the Michigan Brand for a Year products. Nick Grillo. Nick is one of the most hardcore hunters and anglers that I know. I would be friends with Nick even if I wasn't working with Nick because he's so hardcore. But I am working with Nick through Michigan Brand. Good morning, Jerry. How are you? Brandon says, yes, shh, don't talk about. Well, Brandon, if you don't want me to talk about the trolling at night on the Saginaw Detroit River, don't post it. Craig Plowman says, and Jim Hoppy, that's the guy. Craig says, does Jim Hoppy, the guy who donated the custom lures, make any to sell? Jim, you're on here right now. Do you make lures to sell? Need coffee. That is coffee good. Tyler, good morning, buddy. How are you? Paul says he'll be jigging the river tomorrow. Dan, I know what you're saying, but my ZZ does not go up to St. Helens. There you go. Here's the guy right here. Jim, do you make lures to sell? Dixie Dave was there as well. Very true. Very cool. Excellent. Glad to hear. Almost time for some groundhog stew. I saw one the other day. I should tell you who's on this week's show before I run out of time. My first guest this week is John Cleveland of Eppinger. Eppinger makes the Daredevil lures. Scott, if you're the guy I'm thinking of, are you a friend of Rob, Scott? I need to get you on the radio show. Rob Miller and I actually checked out your social media feeds. Are you the guy who poses with something to eat? I got to get you on the show, Scott. Let's make it happen. Yes, let's do that. Okay, you guys are getting me off track here. John Cleveland of Eppinger, the maker of Daredevil. The U.S. Postal Service has just put a Daredevil fishing lure on a forever stamp. How cool is that? And they are a Michigan-based, family-owned company out of Dearborn. John is a guest this week. Then Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest. We're checking in to see how things are going there. In our second hour, listen, there's a lot of talk about the southern Michigan fishery this time of year. Let's buck that trend, and let's go as far north as we can for an open water fishery to the Keweenaw Peninsula in the Upper Peninsula to talk with Connor Backus. Connor just got on the water last Saturday because the ice just went out. Anyway, he's a fishing guide up there. We'll talk with him. Then Tyler Mihai of MUCC talks about their ambassador program. I was looking at a post from MUCC about their ambassador program, and I saw me. So I'm wondering, am I, Tyler? Am I an ambassador? We'll talk about that in the upcoming MUCC meeting, I think, as well. Then this week's Ask Avery question. Ed Blissick from the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative, glsalmon.org, glsalmon.org, with an update on the issue, the concept, the proposal to let Great Lakes trolling anglers use more rods. Now, this is a drum I've been beating for several years. I took the proposal, thank you, John. I took the proposal to MUCC a few years ago, didn't really know how the process worked and was shot down. However, that doesn't mean I'm backing down from the quest of getting Great Lakes trolling anglers to be able to run more rods. Why? Because I want to maximize fishing opportunities for people without affecting the resource. The resource, whether it's salmon, trout, or walleye, is protected by the daily creel limit and the size limit. Doesn't matter how many rods you run to catch those fish. Anyway, there are some things in the works. We can't talk about all the specifics, but Ed will be here to talk more about that in this week's Ask Avery segment. And then in hour number 3, food plots, baby. It's that time of year. We're talking food plots with Rich Krizan of Killer Food Plots, and of course, we'll wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire, Dixie Dave Miner. Anyway, Scott, got to get you on the show. Absolutely. Jim says you can message me. I'm not going into business, but I can get you a few. Craig Plowman, message Jim Hoppy, or I have both of your numbers. I can connect you guys. Phil, good morning, buddy. How are you? Congrats on that turkey. Thank you, David. Bear and elk permit application process starts tomorrow. Mark, it was so wonderful to have you at Wednesday Night Live and to meet your beautiful wife. Thank you for coming down and joining us. I appreciate it. Jim says, yes, more rods would be good. You as well. 15 chances. Kevin, good morning, buddy. How are you? Real respect. Classy hooker preparing for a DNR dockside inspection this morning. Real respect. Always a pleasure. You're one of the good guys. Okay. My name is Mike Avery. This is Behind the Mic because I am behind the mic.
9, 8, 7,
6, 5.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Blast off. Okay. So, Craig, remind me. I will connect you and Jim. Michael, good morning. How are you? Robert, good morning. All right, I've got to switch my focus here. I've got to go to work. You can't call this work. I get it. I'm sitting in front of a microphone in a studio talking about the outdoors. That's not work. That's fun. It's a blessing. So, I'm going to switch gears here now. I'm going to record the radio show. You're welcome to stick around and watch if you want, but I will not be able to directly interact with you as I have been. However, tonight at 7 o'clock, I'll be back. I won't be at the Lumberjack. I'll be in my home office, my home studio. Taking it easy for the most part. All right, my friends, have a great day. Craig, don't be posting. Craig just posted his phone numbers. Indeed, this is the big guy. Indeed, this is the big guy. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to our number one of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio show, on the Outdoor Magazine radio network, on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan, and so glad to have you along with us as we are now in the month of May. How did it get to be May? I don't know. Time, it's a cliche, but time does fly. And the older I get, the faster time does fly. So what does that mean? It means you got to take advantage of it. You got to make the most of it. You got to make the most of the time that we have here on this earth to hunt and fish and shoot and trap. Obviously, spend time with family, right? There are priorities, right? God, family, country. However you prioritize it, that's how I prioritize it. God, family, country. I want to spend as much time with my family as I can, to spend as much time hunting and fishing as I can. And if I can combine the hunting and fishing with family, that's even better. More on that coming up. But this is the month of May, which means here in Michigan, it's time to apply for your bear tag and your elk tag. You're not going to get a bear. You're not going to get an elk tag. I say this as a blanket statement. I'm saying this to myself. To Avery, check. Apply for bear and elk tag. The odds of getting an elk tag are so slim that you can just about forget about it, right? Don't put it on your calendar this fall, and then you won't be disappointed. But somebody, about 100 or 200 somebodies, are going to get an elk tag this year. You're not going to get one. I'm not going to get one. But somebody's going to get one, but you can't get one unless you apply. Now, the bear tag, that's a different story. Applying for a Michigan bear tag is kind of an interesting process because, well, if you apply with 2 points, and you get a point for every year. Say you've got 2 points, and you apply for the Red Oak area for the opening season. Well, I think there is maybe only one season there. You're not going to get it with 2 points. If you have 15 points, meaning you waited 15 years, you're probably going to get it. Me, because I love to bear hunt so much, I'm not going to wait 15 years to get a tag. I'm not going to wait 10 years to get a tag. I played that game a couple of years ago before I realized how this all works. And I had 9 points. And I waited and applied for the first season in the Newberry District, and I got it. I don't want to wait 9, 10, 12, 15 years to hunt. So what I do now is I apply for the third season, and you can get a tag in some parts of the UP every year if you apply for the third season. But for me, it's been about every other year. So I will apply. No, let me think this through. No, I'm not going to apply for a hunt this year. I'm going to get a point for this year, and I'm going to go to Ontario to bear hunt. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to Ontario, do a guaranteed bear hunt in mid-August. I'm going to hunt with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters in White River. Haven't been up there in a couple of years. So I'll go back to White River. I'll hunt bears there. I'll put in for a point in the UP, and then next year I'll hunt bears in Michigan. That seems like a pretty good deal, eh? But for elk, I am going to apply for a bull tag, which even further minimizes my chances, my odds of getting a tag. Why? I don't know. Because I'm going to win the Pure Michigan hunt. That's why. My elk hunt is going to come through winning the Pure Michigan hunt. Now, they won't draw that winner until January of next year. But that's how I'm going to get my elk tag. I'm not going to get it for applying for a Michigan elk license, but I will apply for a Michigan elk license. Anyway, I get off topic. Turkey hunting. I have been telling you that my goal this year is not to shoot a bird. Now, if I have the opportunity, will I shoot one? Yes. But my goal this year is to get my grandson, Trent, a bird. Trent is a hardcore hunter. He has bear hunted. He has deer hunted. He loves to deer hunt. He has been with me turkey hunting when he was a little kid and watched me shoot a bird, but he's never shot one. So the goal this year is to get Trent a bird. Now, we didn't hunt opening weekend because the opening weekend of turkey season fell on Easter weekend. That's not going to work out. If I've got Easter weekend or turkey hunting, as much as I love to turkey hunt, Easter weekend's going to come first. Now, last weekend, we were out there. We were out there Saturday morning. We went out to our lease property, a place where we have not had a chance to scout yet, but we were out there all fall, all over this property, deer hunting, and we were overrun with turkeys. We saw turkeys all the time. There were turkeys everywhere. This area has a lot of birds. We didn't see a bird. We didn't hear a gobble, which was not too much of a surprise at the first sit because it was a cold, windy day. You hunt whenever you can hunt, but in my experience, turkeys prefer, well, let me say that. I, as a turkey hunter, prefer a little bit warmer day, a sunnier day with light winds. Why? Because I can hear the birds when they gobble. Why? Because I think birds tend to gobble more when it's sunny and nice and warm. So we didn't see or hear a bird on the first sit. So we packed up, we moved the blind over to another food plot adjacent to state land, said, okay, this is a good spot. We've seen birds here before on camera. We've seen them here while we're hunting. We set up and again, didn't see or hear a bird. Now, it was pretty cold that day. It was pretty chilly. So about early afternoon, we packed up and said, you know what? Let's go get an Amish sub. Let's salvage this day, go to the Amish shop and get a sub. But on the way out, this is what surprised me. On the way out, we did not see a track. Now, I realize it's been dry, but even in the areas where we had wet, the water holes, where there was mud, we saw deer tracks. We didn't see any turkey tracks. I didn't see a feather. I saw one turkey dropping. And this whole time, which leads me to my question of, what does the turkey population look like in your part of the state? Now, where I hunt, I am convinced the numbers are down. And not just because we didn't see a turkey on Saturday, but I'm convinced the numbers are down in general because I'm not seeing them as I'm driving around either. I know that there are pockets that vary, and I've had people say, look, we are covered up with birds. Come hunt with us. Why is the turkey population down in general? Is it avian flu? Is it bird flu? Is it predators taking the birds out of the population? I don't know. So anyway, Sunday, Last Sunday, we hunted as well, and the weather had changed. It was beautiful. It was, in my opinion, a perfect day to turkey hunt. It was warm, it was sunny, there were light winds, and you could hear everything. So we left the lease property. We went over to my buddy Scott's property. Scott has a beautiful piece of land very close to our house, and he's been very generous in allowing me access to that property. In fact, that's where I killed my bird opening afternoon last year. But whenever I say, Scott, I'm taking a grandkid hunting, he's like, you can come hunt. He's that kind of guy. You're taking your grandkids out, you come hunt with me. So we get out there, we get it set up in a blind. We've got one decoy set up in the food plot in front of us, and immediately we hear a gobble. I'm like, okay, I like gobbles. When I hear gobbles, it gives me a sense of confidence. It gives me a sense of, okay, there are birds in the area. If I can hear a gobble, I'm good. Bird gobbles south of us almost immediately. Fairly close, but we know he's there. So I started to call to that bird, and he gobbled again. So here's the problem. When you're turkey hunting and you hear a bird, it's hard for me not to overcall, but you got to force yourself not to overcall. We never did see that bird. He gobbled all morning long. We never saw him. But guess what? We've got season ZZ. We've got Hunt ZZ, which runs right on through the month of May, right on through the mosquito season. So we've got a lot of time. And the turkey hunting will get nothing but better. Trent is a very patient guy. I am a very patient guy. We will get Trent a bird this season. In our first 2 times out, we didn't get one, but there's plenty of time, and we will. All right, coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, after the break, John Cleveland of Eppinger Lures, the Daredevil Company, Michigan-based family-owned Eppinger. The U.S. Postal Service has made a Daredevil postage stamp. How cool is that? Plus, Mr. Angler Quest Brad Dupuis. In our second hour, Connor Backus, a young fishing guide from the Keweenaw. Their ice is finally gone, and Connor's on the water. We'll talk about that. Tyler Mihai of MUCC on their ambassador program and more. The Ask Avery segment this week deals with the concept of allowing Great Lakes trolling anglers to run more rods. Ed has an update. And in hour number 3, we're talking food plots with Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plus. Plus, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. The website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. The email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Okay, I can see some of your comments here. Now, Jim says I sent you a text. Thank you. TJ, good morning. Captain JT, good morning. How are you? Jerry, in the Tuscola County, I'm seeing about the same as past years. Excellent. Jay Wadersky from Sturgeon for Tomorrow, who was on the show last week, says he's on the river. The sturgeon are definitely here. Turkey population is down in his neck of the woods. Dale says no turkey shortage here. And that's the way it is across the state. All right, I'm going to let you go. I got to get to work. Have a great day. We'll see you tonight on Wednesday Night Live. This time from my home office, the home studio. Have a great day.